And so then there's this void.
Yeah.
And I think for us, I prepared, I know specifically for that void.
Yeah.
I know that whenever there's a void, that's when the enemy likes to slip in and fill it with, discouragement or sadness or depression. And so I was really prayerful against that void.
Your blended family has a 100% chance of success when you do it God's way. We are Blended Kingdom Families, and we want to provide biblical resources to heal and restore families with a message of hope for the next generation.
Hey guys, welcome back to the BKF podcast. We are super excited to be here. We are not alone. We have our dear friends, Eric and Keisha Gomez, with us. They are a wealth of knowledge, and we are going to have a great time diving into a really fun topic today. Before we do, make sure you take an opportunity, like, share, comment. This is my normal spiel. So don't let this opportunity pass you by. You want to be alerted every single week when we drop a new podcast. So, Vanessa, what are we going to talk about today?
Today we're going to talking about sending kids to college because you guys are the experts on this. We're going to be coming to you guys for all the tips and tricks. But first, I want to tell our audience a little bit about Eric and Keisha. So they've been married for 21 years. So y'all, we have a lot to learn. I know, y'all look like babies. Look like babies.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Mid-40s.
Well, they're also blended family empty nesters. Eric is the COO at Exo Marriage, and Keisha is an Exo Marriage Mediator. Both of you are mediators, right? Yeah.
Awesome. She's leading that effort. She's leading that effort.
Yes. But y'all have 3 kiddos together, and one of them's married, but 2 just went to college.
Yes.
At Abilene Christian. Go Wildcats.
Yeah.
Is it this guy? Scratch him.
Scratch.
Yeah, that's where Scott went to school. And Michael is going to Abilene Christian. So I'm excited because
We're going to be carpooling.
We're going to be carpooling.
We're
going to be carpooling. But 2, at least somebody can tell us if Michael's behaving or not because your 2 kiddos are there. You know
the police department.
Yes.
We know everybody.
Yes.
Well, we're going to have a great conversation. And if you're in that situation where you are approaching empty nesting, are approaching, sending your everything's different. I don't want to use global terms because, we're sending kids to college, but we're not technically empty nesters. You guys are technically empty nesters and you're sending kids to college. So whatever your situation is, we're just looking at the transition. So the first part about it is how have you navigated the process of preparing your children for college? So if you're in that 16, 17, kind of think back a couple of years, how is the best way to prepare kids to go through that process?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Start with you, Eric.
Start with me.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I think Keisha had always had a heart. When we in 2nd, 4th grade for the kiddos, she wanted to homeschool, and she said that she wanted to really, first of all, kind of own that the process of educating the kids, and not just kind of the academic side of it, but the culture side of it, the character side of it. And so whenever we did that, we homeschooled for a couple of years, and then we went into private school, which was university model. That's the name of it. And university model was 3 days at school, 2 days at home. Yeah. And it kind of resembles kind of like going to a class, taking back your classwork back to home, getting it finished. And so we did that all the way through. And so our kids graduated from Alliance Christian Academy, and so in Hazlitt. And so that was kind of an academic side of preparation was kind of that was intentional. We wanted them not to have that a little bit different approach than just the public school approach. Yeah. And then from a character side of it, I think we really just always had them involved at church. Yeah. We prioritize Wednesday nights. We prioritize Sunday. We prioritize the serve. And I think with those 2 things, we just kind of then trusted God, whether the kids wanted to go to college or not. That we weren't. I want to say attached to the idea that they had to go to college. Not all kids are meant for that. And so we had some mentors that talked to us about that. Like some kids just are better to go straight into the workforce. And so we just kind of more leaned into kind of like, all right, if they go, we're going to have them ready for academics. And then from a character side of it and being spiritually mature enough to be able to take the onslaught of college, and we're learning that now, is making sure that they were rooted inside of Christ. And that was kind of the approach, I would think, if I'm looking back at that. Would you agree? Or
Yeah, definitely. I would agree. I think also
we made sure they were surrounded. They had mentors at our church. Their small groups.
That's good.
They always had a leader there that they pretty early on they grew trust with that leader, so they were able to talk to them, and it kind of prepared for when they are going to have to lean into and rely on other people. We're not going to be that main voice in their life as much when they're gone.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
I love that we started this kind of thinking it was like an early, like a couple of years before, but there's never too early to start preparing for that process. And I also love what you said about, gave the kids the options. I think in today's culture, and especially with the cost of college, that's not always the first option is to say, hey, we're going to go to school and you're going to, there may be other options or other passions that they want to pursue.
No, that's good. Well, and I love that when you were talking about the mentor, because it also gives kids, I think, especially in blended families too, when you have two sets of parents, that neutral zone where they can have somebody that can just speak into them and not worry about like what mom or dad is going to say or step parent, I think is so valuable. And it just provides a place of just safety, I think, for them. We've seen that with Michael, and I love that he has that. I love that he has somebody other than us or his other parents to be able to go to, and that's a trusted source that can sow into his faith and his walk and everything. So I think that's awesome. Yeah.
I love it. And so kind of prepare on. So we'll speak to the parents, to the and I would say the moms, but to be honest with you, I think I'm having a hard time about this too. Like, just like, you sure you want to go? You don't want to stay? I mean, can I be with you? I don't know, but from a heart perspective, how do you prepare your heart to,
as a parent,
not have your kids in their bedroom?
That's the hardest. I don't know that you can prepare for that because you think you're prepared, you think you're prayed up, you think you've done everything you can to equip them, but then they actually leave, and it's just I don't know that we were prepared as much as we tried to be. There's just nothing you can really do for that other than to go through it. And then you see, we're about a month and a half into it now, and there's more good days than sad days for sure. We're having a lot of fun. But there for the first week or two, there were some tears pretty much every day, just adjusting to new normal. So I think you just, you're prayed up and you're ready for it, but then you just kind of roll with the punches and you deal with those emotions as they come. Yeah. And I don't think you can until you're there.
You hope that maybe they don't go and then all of a sudden they're like, see ya.
Definitely.
I think the biggest change for us was, because usually the kids would be, as they got into teenage years, they're with their friends until late.
Oh, yeah.
So they would get home at curfew.
Oh, yeah.
And then I had someone from our church many years ago said that, I asked him, I went to him, I said, hey guys, it's the senior table, I call them. And I'm like, hey guys, what's the one piece of advice that I go into the teenage years? And one guy told me, hey, make sure that you always wake back up and go on your second shift when your kids come in.
Yeah.
And they want to talk. Like, find the energy to listen and engage.
That's good.
And I was like, oh, that doesn't even make sense. And then at the time, and then we got there, and then, you have your daughter or your son walk in at midnight, 12:30, and they're like,
full of energy.
Full of energy. They just ate Whataburger and a Big Dog and Sonic. And so those are those things that, we miss, like those moments at night, the edge of the bed talks.
Yeah.
And so then there's this void.
Yeah.
And I think for us, I prepared, I know specifically for that void.
Yeah.
I know that whenever there's a void, that's when the enemy likes to slip in and fill it with, discouragement or sadness or depression. And so I was really prayerful against that void. And so we try to stay busy. I think we try to stay busy and as late as we can. Sometimes it's only like 8:30, but we stay busy as we can so that we can go to sleep a little bit without kind of like, what are we doing? We're just laying here.
Yeah.
So. No, that's good.
It was funny. A couple of days ago, I texted Michael. It was about 8:00 at night. And I said, I just texted him, said, time to head home. And he calls me immediately and he goes, am I in trouble? I go, no. I said, you've just been gone and I want you home. And he said, well, can I have a friend spin over? No. It's time just to be
home.
Yeah, they're so busy that it's that stage of like, hey, you're not in trouble. I just want you here, and I just want you to be in a quiet place and spend some time together. So
and we're experiencing that right now. Like he's with his friends all the time. And Scott is so much he's better about this than I am. Exactly what you were saying about your second wind, the second shift, because he will not go to bed until Michael walks in the door. And then I always hear them talking. And if I'm awake, I go out there, but he's just adamant about that. But to your point, when it was like the second day of his senior year and I saw him walk out the door and I was in the pantry and we have a window and he got in his car to leave. And I remember thinking, this time next year, I'm not going to see him walk and get into his car and leave. And I just lost it. And so I've been just crying a lot this year. And, it hits you in waves because I'm like, have I done everything right? Like, we know we haven't done everything right, but have I done everything that I can to prepare him and set him up for success? And then like, even this weekend, he didn't do his laundry. It's still on his bed. I'm like, oh my goodness, Lord, like, is his roommate going to hate him because he's going to be a mess? Like, it's just the little things like that. So I totally get where you guys are when you're speaking that. I'm like, that's where we're at right now. That's what we're going through.
Well, and parenting doesn't stop when they leave. Even when they're in college, they're going to mess up and they're going to stumble. And it's nice that, number one, that they have a safe place to come back to. That's the home base. And you kind of hope, I think, and again, we're optimistically looking at this and you guys are a couple of years into it and you're like, okay, it may not work like that, but I'm optimistic. Like he's going to go the first week, he's going to meet his wife, they're going to date, they're going to get married, he's going to go right through school. I mean, like there's going to be no hiccups. And my question is how do you deal with hiccups? How do you deal with that?
From a distance.
Yeah, sometimes from a distance and sometimes, even at your door. But how do you deal with that as parents when your kids go to college and it doesn't quite go as smoothly as you want it to?
Do you want to take a stab at that first?
Sure. I guess we leaned into a lot of people when we started hitting those hiccups. People that have been there before, people that just had some knowledge on the situations, lots of prayer. Recently, I had a friend tell me, and she heard from another friend. She said, had I known what God was doing in my son's life, my prayers would have been a lot different than they were.
Wow.
And that kind of affected me a lot because I've been praying, just over both of them, safety, discernment, hedge of protection around them. And they may go through some things that are not fun and not easy, and they're going to be hard for all of us. But God is, he's building their testimony.
Yeah.
They are building their testimony right now. And so I think just rolling with those punches and just surrounding yourself with people that'll pray with you through those moments when it gets scary. And when you don't know what to do, you don't know what to expect, you don't know what the next step looks like. You want to just go and say, come on, you're going home. You're done. That's it. We tried it. We're done. So having people in your life to encourage you, say, no, settle down. Come on, breathe, pray. God has a plan for their lives, and they're going to be okay. He's had them this long. He's not done with them.
Yeah.
I think I lived in La La Land for a little while, because you do, if you do steps 1, 2, 3, 4, you should hit step 5. I shouldn't have to go back to step 1 with you. And that's not the case. That's just not how it works. And we found that out with Brandon, our oldest. He's 26 now. He's a Harding grad in Arkansas. And so he went to a good private school, Christian. I mean, we did everything right, and he still hit hiccups. He had hard times. And I remember that first time, because we didn't have custody of him. I wasn't a custodial parent. And so, but we started really building a stronger relationship while he was in college. And I remember him coming home his junior year one time, and we went to a concert, and it was 21 Pilots, great concert. And he comes out and he just unloads this weight that everything he had been going through. And I think for me, what I was at the time, I just remember feeling overwhelmed. I remember telling Keisha, I got home, I said, this is what our son is going through. You don't know that response, but it sounds like. And so I think at that point, I realized that just because you do, like 1 + 1 doesn't always equals 2. Right? Especially with kids, right? You think you're doing everything, you don't always get the outcome you think. But I think I do know that what Keisha just said there is true. I mean, God just makes everything new. He's been with them since day one. He's not gonna, leave them. our kid, they get distracted by all the noise of college and the noise of all the social culture, aspects of it. But really what's been neat to watch them go through is just we're kind of like just giving them guidelines, or guidance. Like they come to us and say, hey, I'm struggling with this, and just, hey, have you prayed about this? Like there's a lot more questions as opposed to or have you considered this? Have you? It's not like you should pray. The difference question is, hey, have you prayed about that? Have you considered, have you leaned into someone around you? Because like what Keisha said, I mean, we're just not there all the time. I mean, we can't. And if we try to hold on too long, it doesn't do anything good for us. Internally for us. I mean, we just are constant worry, and I don't want that.
They don't let you in as much. I mean, we had super tight, close relationships with our kids, and we kind of thought, for every decision, everything that goes wrong, they're going to call us, and that's just not the case. It's not for us anyway. That may be the case with some, but for us, they don't always call and ask for your advice. So you just have to pray and hope that they're hearing, feeling those prayers.
And I think with that, I think there's an actual gift in that, because we can look at it as dang, that stinks, and I want to be able to but I think too, it's also the Lord speaking to them and all those things that you've sowed over the years in your prayers, and they're being led by the Holy Spirit, or in most things, we know that we all act out of our flesh, but that they're drawing their own conclusions, and that they're coming to those decisions, so to speak. And so I think there's so much I think even wisdom in that, because that in themselves, then it builds them up. And then, and we may not be able to see all of that in the moment when it's happening, but years to come when they're like, hey, you remember that? And it comes out. And I remember doing that with my parents in college. And I thought, looking back, I'm like, man, I did some good stuff there. I made some good decisions, without, going to my parents for every little thing. And obviously as parents, I want to be there for all of it. I told Scott, I was like, I will probably drive to Abilene once a week to just go have lunch with Michael. And he was like, you can't do that. And I was like, okay,
It's we go, I mean, we're a tight family. I mean, we can go a week without talking with, verbally speaking to Eli. Eli's different. He's a different, Gabby, we talk to her. She talks to Keisha probably every day. But with Eli, I think and boys or girls are different. A big difference. I think that for boys growing into young men who are going to be independent and lead a family one day, there is this kind of demarcation in their life where they're like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to figure this out.
That's good.
And so you as a parent have the, you want to hold on and white knuckle them all the way through, but you have to let them go and make those mistakes and those trials and things. I mean, we didn't talk to Eli. I think there was a 7-day period one day just recently. And then the first call we get is, hey, Eli's on the ground and he's bleeding from his head, because he was playing intramural football. He got stitches. So the first contact we have in 7 days is, hey, there's an EMT here for him, an ambulance. Wow. And so, but in those moments, do you drive to Abilene?
Yeah.
And the answer to that was, we're driving. I was like, no, we're not driving to Abilene.
Yeah.
He's going to be just fine.
He's going to be just fine.
Yeah.
He's going to get stitches, and he's going to have to figure out how to use his insurance card and do everything.
It's good.
And so it's little, I mean, that's a more kind of lifestyle, life lesson. But it was more than that. It was the first time we weren't in the emergency room with them. It was the first time that we didn't, we weren't there to walk him through it. Yeah. And he had to do it himself. Oh. And so
it's good.
Thankfully his sister's there with him. So she was
there
with him.
Yeah. Well, and I think having that community, again, every situation is different. I mean, obviously, our kids are going to Abilene Christian. So we have a community there. Mm-hmm. We know people there. And it's, if we can't be there, we can make a phone call. And for us, even our, her mom's there. So we can even go further than that. Yeah. But you said a couple of things, and I just I want to make sure that they're hammered home with the audience. The first thing you said, Keisha, is God's writing their testimony. Mm-hmm. And I just don't even think that we could even possibly understand what he's writing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what he will write without us. Mm-hmm. And I think we as parents, we do as much as we can. And I know whether you're in a blended family or a nuclear family or whatever your situation is, you do everything with every minute that you can to pour in. And that's what we're supposed to do. But at a certain point, we're released, and God's going to start writing a story. And creating his own version of the miracle of their story and what they're going to do with their life. So I think that was one thing. The other thing you said, Eric, was we had to learn how to almost not be parents. And I'm going to say that.
Or parent.
Yeah. We had to learn, like, we couldn't be thinking about this every day. We couldn't be thinking about this every moment because, you know, with Michael, it's a little different. Like, we're kind of used to him going and coming. I think about my little boys and I'm like, nope. I'm going with you because I always said, but I'm like, I don't want to go with you. I'm just going to get an RV and park around the corner.
He still talks about
I still
that
do.
to this day.
I still might. But we have to learn that. And I don't think I think God prepares us to learn it because I'm not ready to learn that right now. It's going to be really difficult. It'll be difficult with Michael. So I hope that just encourages our audience. Like, hey, if you're struggling with this, that's okay.
Yeah.
You're supposed to struggle. It's not supposed to be easy.
Yeah.
And I hope that my kids don't come back to me and be like, don't worry about what I'm doing. God's writing a story. I'll be like, you know what? I'm not really down with that right now because I've got some input in this.
That's funny.
So
we're coming to our last couple of questions. And so we always want to leave like just on advice. So anyone that's listening right now that maybe has some kiddos that are transitioning into college, you guys, what advice would you give other blended families that are in these shoes and they're about to send their kiddos off to college and let them fly the nest?
That's a big question.
It is.
It really is.
I think specifically speaking into the blended family part. So our oldest, the 26-year-old, is my stepson. Excuse me. I've been in his life since he was 2, so he's never known life without me. Yeah. But the kids didn't get as close until the younger 2 were older. And specifically, since they've gone off to college, they talk to our older son a lot. And that relationship, watching that form and the bonds that they have being strengthened, and Brandon, the oldest, kind of talking them through because, you know, he's not that far away from when he was in college. So he's been able to this relationship has formed that's completely different than we've seen before. And it's been such a sweet season seeing them lean into, both Brandon and our daughter-in-law, Jenny. They've gotten so close to them. And so watching that part specifically has just been really neat. So I guess the advice part of that is just more of what you don't want to hear, just letting go. Like, because that relationship, no matter what we did to try to force it, it didn't form until it was organic. And we pulled our hands off. They're at college. You are able to contact them and have whatever relationship you want. Yeah. And it's been really neat to see.
I love that.
Yeah, it's been so neat.
Yeah. Love that.
I don't have any advice.
No.
I think from my side, that's definitely been a beautiful thing to watch, the bond of brotherhood and sisterhood, because that's what you pray for, right? You're like, you know, when you're blended, you're like, man, you have this child who's not being raised in our situation, that's not being raised in our household, and so it's like my sin has this ripple effect on him, and I hate that for him. But God works all things for new, and you don't think about it when they're 12 and 14, but now that he's 26 and our kids are, 18 and 20, and they come back for a weekend, and you're like, I'm just praying that they always feel like we have unity and we have a unified Gomez family one day. And they come back from college and they're like, hey, we're gonna go do game night with Brandon and Jenny. I'm like, that's the coolest thing you could say. Yeah. You have no idea that's what you want. But as far as advice, I just think from my side of it, I have just always been about preparing. And be prepared for the identity attack. I think that's the thing.
Well, that's good.
Because the enemy will attack your identity at that season of this transition. Like, you're supposed to be this parent, you're supposed to be there, and then when you're not, and then they mess up. Well, now it's not even an identity. Like, you're not the parent; it's you messed up.
Like you failed.
You failed as a parent.
Wow.
And you start saying like things like, and I mean, we messed up. We failed. We absolute, like these big old things. And that's not fruit of the spirit. That's not
Yeah.
bringing down heaven
Wow.
into the bedroom. That's bringing up some hell.
Yeah.
And, you know, that, and it's just discouragement. And it's I would say that for me, the biggest advice is be prepared for that identity attack and know how you're going to respond.
Well, I love that you segued here, because on our next podcast, we're gonna hold them over and do one more, and we're
Hold
gonna do
them
it.
over.
We're
They're
gonna
not
do
going
all
in.
on empty nesting.
Yes.
So what that looks like, feels like, and again, maybe how it's even attacked. So
Yeah.
grateful that you guys were here today.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining. I hope this helped as you preparing to send your kids to college.
Wait, hold on. We have to answer the staple question.
Oh, we
You
forgot.
jumped the gun.
My bad.
Staple question.
Staple.
So the name of the ministry is Blended Kingdom
It's
Families.
been a while since we had guests. That's why. I
Is that
forgot.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why. He jumped the gun. But what is a Blended Kingdom family to you?
Well, that's definitely a Keisha question.
Rely on the wisdom here.
Yes.
I think what I just described
Yeah.
when we tried for years to make sure we were fostering these relationships and make sure they looked as good as they could possibly look given the circumstances. When it just beautifully blended, and it was nothing but God's touch
Yeah.
on all of it, and it was so evident that's blended kingdom.
Yeah.
Like,
Love that.
the kingdom came down. He has touched every part. Like you wouldn't even believe how you would believe, actually, you know, for sure how sin-filled it was and could have continued to be if not for God putting his hand on every one of us, every relationship. And we have the most beautiful family now, like so much better than I could have imagined. And that's, to me, a blended kingdom family.
I love that. Baby,
I
what
love
a
It was good.
Love that.
Thank you, guys.
Guys, next week we're going to talk about empty nesting. So if you're in that stage, join us next week. We will be hanging out with Eric and Keisha again. So thanks for being with us today. Hope you have a wonderful day.
Be blessed in all that you do. Hey friends, so glad you were here with us today, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode. You can find more resources from Blended Kingdom Families at blendedkingdomfamilies.com. Join us again next time as we talk about more blended family topics. Be blessed in all that you do, and remember, nothing will be impossible with God.